My name is Jillian Fisher, and I am ACLU Arkansas's Policy and Advocacy Strategist. And the current project I'm working on is Arkansas's new voter ID law, which is implemented this January. Basically, the law states that all voters must prove their identity each and every time they come and vote. For voters who are physically at the poll, they must show an ID issued by the state of Arkansas, the federal government, or an accredited university such as SAU. The ID must have your full name, your photo, and cannot be expired for more than 4 years. And if you're an absentee and you send your ballot in by mail, you can either send in a copy of your ID that is outlined, or send documents in that have your name and your address. The previous law only required that you verify your identity when you initially registered to vote or the very first time you voted if you registered by mail. And this can be done by showing your photo ID or other documents that verify your name and your address. So this used to be a one-time thing. So my parents are in their 50s, meaning they registered to vote when they were 18, so in the past 30 years, they have not been required to show their ID. And the main reason for this is there has been simply no reason to question the legitimacy of our poll books. I know some of you might be used to poll workers asking for ID, and that is true, but you've never been required to do so until now. So this is the first time you've been required to share ID each and every time you come and vote. Unfortunately, the legislature did not budget voter education in their bill, so it's my main focus to provide outreach and education about the new changes. And I do want to stop and thank the Arkansas Public Policy Panel and other community partners that are supporting our outreach efforts. We reach as many people as possible. So, get to educate as many people as possible, understand the new law and requirements before you head to the polls, and assist voters who may find a requirement especially difficult to meet. We've unfortunately already seen some problems. This was really evident in Craighead County a few weeks ago in January, where people are just simply unaware of the changes. In Craighead County, the validity of absentee ballots that were cast without copies of necessary documentation came to question. The current law states that if you're physically present on polls and you don't have your ID, then you can cast a provisional ballot, and then by noon Monday after the election, go to the county clerk's office, show your ID, and your vote will be counted. However, there is no remedy listed what happens if you're an absentee voter and you don't provide necessary documentation. So, Craighead County Election Commission, there was a few ballots that didn't meet that. They weren't quite sure what to do. I think they were actually the first election in Arkansas to have the new changes. Very frustrated, very confused. So they actually sought advice from the Secretary of State's office. And they decided they wanted to make it right. They tried to give people a chance to have their vote counted. They did this through media, through newspapers and news channels. However, it being absentee ballots, most people don't watch local news if you're out of state or if you are incapacitated to where you couldn't go to the county clerk's office. So I think they gave it until noon Tuesday, because Monday was a holiday. At the end, though, 83 of 134 absentee ballots were not counted. So 60% of absentee ballots were not counted because people were unaware of the changes and people did not provide necessary documentation. Attorney General Justin McDaniel this last week spoke about this issue and responded, and he confirmed that there will be no remedy, there will be no opportunity to correct omission. So if you submit your ballot, absentee ballot, and you cannot provide the necessary documentation when you submit it, you will not be given a second chance to provide, to get your vote counted. It's just not feasible. There are a lot of problems with voter ID. There's two overarching issues. The first is that it's just irrational. The main justification of why this law was needed was to prevent in-person voter fraud. However, evidence shows that the in-person voter fraud is virtually non-existent throughout the whole country, and in Arkansas, not a single case has been cited. The fraud, for the most part, has been an inside job, either by officials or election officials or candidates, but not individual residents. And again, this law mainly targets in-person with a photo ID. So voter ID law puts unnecessary obstacles and barriers to voting without addressing any real problem. It's irrational that this law requires more of the voter standing right in front of us than it does the voter we never see. The second, and ACLU believes probably more importantly, is it is unconstitutional. We have to remember that voting is a fundamental right protected by our Constitution. The government should be encouraging people to vote, not discouraging a process that people are pretty much apathetic about to begin with. We should be making it as easy as possible. And this law imposes a new qualification in ways that we believe clearly violates our state's Constitution. The Constitution of Arkansas specifically provides a right to vote, as well as providing a system of permanent registration. So meaning my parents were in their 50s, they registered to vote at 18. As long as they meet all those qualifications outlined by our Constitution, they should be required to vote. However, this new law, that means somebody who meets all the qualifications defined still may not be able to vote because of this new requirement. Makes sense? For those of us who drive every day, this may not realize just quite the impact this law has on everyday people, but pretty conservatively it's been estimated that at least 10% of eligible voters do not have a perfect ID that meets this new law standards. So put that in context, the city of Magnolia is roughly 11,000 people. So let's assume 10,000 of you guys are eligible to vote. That means 1 in 10 or 1,000 people would not have necessary ID and could not vote. Their vote will not be counted. Disproportionately, this affects particular populations that are normally constantly at risk of being disenfranchised, those who are poor, those who are disabled, the elderly, racial minorities, and even women. Seniors mostly because they're not as likely to drive, and remember, it cannot be expired for more than 4 years. The poor often take public transportation, so there's no need for a driver's license, and IDs aren't free. And women were more likely to undergo name changes. I was married 6 months ago, and it is a hassle, and it just takes a lot of time to go through all the paperwork, and there might be some problems with the names matching up, and so forth. If you do not have a state or federally issued photo ID, you can get a free voter ID at your county clerk's office. However, you still have to prove your identity by showing 3 types of documents to verify. The first is your full legal name and your birth date. The most common example is probably a birth certificate, but you should note that it cannot be a copy. It must be an original certified copy. So you have to go to your clerk's office, and again, not free, not convenient. And your second is legal name and residential address, such as a recent bank statement. And the third is evidence that you're registered in the county that you are applying for the voter ID for. So the burden of proof is on you. The only exception to this law is if you live in a licensed, by the state, a licensed nursing home or a long-term care facility, or if you're active military personnel who is out of the country because of active duty. If you live in a nursing home or long-term care facility, you are able to vote without an ID if you get a written document from the administrator saying that you are a resident there. So I kind of see as a permission slip that your 75-year-old grandmother has the right to vote. However, this provides no allowance for people who need assistance in ways outside of living in these licensed facilities, such as people in adult daycare centers, treatment centers, healthcare, hospice, people who have relatives that care for them, and even people on meal assistance. So again, it's evident this law especially burdens those with the least amount of resources and the least amount of money. And also for the military, and so this military spouse, if you're active duty, but again, it's taking into account people who are overseas for employment, who are overseas for community service, people who study abroad. Again, you're not exempt from this law. So overall, we obviously believe this is a recipe for disaster. The ACLU is fully prepared to file a suits against this law on behalf of voters who find it difficult or impossible to meet the standards. We are trying to overturn the law as soon as possible, especially before the primary elections May 20th. Fingers crossed, we'll see if we go that fast. And we are encouraging anybody to come forward who believe, come forward and tell the ACLU to share your story to us or the panel or another community partner that's working with us. Share your stories about how this law may burden you and your civil liberty. Somebody you or somebody you know, can share it with us. And we are, you can do so. I know we have a contact sheet here. You can call the ACLU at 501-374-260. It's on your sheet. Leave a message, say, let me vote. I will likely be the person returning your phone call. You can go to our webpage and file complaints, or you can